Francisco Castelo Branco says, will it be necessary to call a witch to end the spell left by Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, Oggy?
Oh dear. It's Alex Ferguson's birthday today, so we should wish Fergie happy birthday, because I'm sure he's having a really good birthday with his team facing relegation. But yeah, oh God, do they need a witch? I don't know, they just need to spend some money. You know, spend some money and buy some decent players. Forget about, you know, witch doctors. Just spend some money and buy some good players. That's the way out of it normally for football clubs.
Should United, Robbo, have left Ruud van Nistelrooy stay on as manager until at least the rest of the season?
I don't know what sort of coach he is. I don't know what sort of manager he would have been. We're going to find out at Leicester City. He seemed to get the best out of the players for a couple of games while he was there. Probably not. I think once you make a change, you've got to get the manager in you want. Gives him more time to get his ideas across. Unfortunately, his ideas at the moment aren't getting the best out of the players that are at Manchester United. So it's a struggle.
Yes, and the road ahead isn't looking too favourable.
No, it certainly isn't.
All right, Don, another percentage chance for you, because I heard you've been causing trouble. Percentage chance that Ronaldo heard what you said about him last week when you rated Hazard higher than Ronaldo in Premier League.
Well, I mean, I was judging a very young Ronaldo at Man United. I mean, I think it's fair to say, I know he won a Ballon d'Or, which I've been stood corrected on social media. Someone obviously watches the show. We got one viewer who watched the show and had a go at me, told me that he won a Ballon d'Or. But I think I was just judging a young Ronaldo on where he was and where he ended up at Real Madrid, being this, you know, the best player that's ever played the game, or one of, definitely in the conversation up against Hazard. I think at the time where his goal contributions and his assists were like 50% of the club. So I think I was judging like an experienced Hazard against a younger Ronaldo player. And at the time, I went with Hazard.
At the time you went with Hazard. So you're still standing by it?
Yeah, yeah, stand by that. I mean, I'm not 100% convinced in myself, but I'll stand by it.
What's the percentage split of the blame at Manchester United between Ineos, the coaching, and the players? Also, percentage chance we see Manchester United in the bottom three at some point in the remainder of the season. How about it?
There's a lot of percentage chances there. Let me get my glasses on.
There we go.
Bottom three. I'm going to say a 10% chance to end up in the bottom three. Blame, but I don't buy an Ineos thing. I don't really buy. Oggy knows the Glazers better than I do. It said whenever Man United lose a couple of games, the Glazers seem to get it. Nothing to do with the players or the coaching. I'd put it all on. I'd put 50% on the management and 50% on the players.
Is that fair, Oggy?
Yeah, it probably is, because as bad as the Glazers have been as owners, United have spent a lot of money. I think only Chelsea have spent more money than Man United in the last 4 or 5 years, so they just spent it very badly. So the Glazers hired the wrong people to do the player recruitment, simple as that. I mean, the Glazers aren't perfect owners, don't get me wrong, but they have put money in. Well, they haven't put money in. They've spent money. They haven't put any money at all. They spent money the club have raised, but they just wasted it. So, yeah, I blame the Glazers for the poor hiring and firing of people. But yeah, it boils down to the players and the manager at the end of the day. Neither have been good enough.
I would go back to what we were saying in the show.
Bashiri?
When you bought some of those players, when Manchester United bought some of the players that are still there and have been there and gone away at times as a failure, nobody said at the time, he's a bad signing, he's a bad signing, he's a bad signing. They came as good players. So something must be wrong at the club and what's going on in the coaching department through the different managers that hasn't got the best out of those players. And Jadon Sancho is a great example of a player that everybody thought was going to be, you know, he's in the England team again, he was going to be one of the players of the future, and in the end didn't fulfil his potential and fell right out of favour with Manchester United as a football club. And there's been several players like that over the course of the last 3 years. So when they were bought, these players, a lot of people said, oh, that's a good signing, oh, that's a good signing, oh, that's a good signing. Since they've been at Manchester United, they now say they're not good signings, but that might be because they haven't been coached properly, they haven't got their confidence. Something is wrong at that club in behind the scenes. There's no doubt about that.
Oggy, you want back in?
No, I agree with that. It's, you know, structure United are all over the place, and it does stand back to the Sir Alex Ferguson days when he left the club with no internal structure. All his coaches were taken away. David Moyes came in with new coaches and a lack of experience or knowledge at the top of the club with Ed Woodward rather than David Gill. You know, 2013 was not the start of the problems. I think they started a couple of years prior to that when Alex Ferguson started making some bad signings. You know, Chris Smalling, Bebe, people like this that weren't good enough for Man United, and it's just been a 12, 13, 14 year drift to where they are now. So the blame's on everybody, but the structure of the club was and still is wrong.
I heard that.
Okay, quick question for Oggy, if I can.
Go on, Don.
Okay, Oggy, question for you. How would the Man United fans feel? Because, like, we've seen all the superstar players, you know, Casemiro being one of them, and Christian Eriksen and Falcao and all the guys well before that. And we've seen these guys come in at the end of their careers because they're sort of superstar, Galacto-ish sort of signings. How would the Man United fans feel if all of a sudden, like, Belieber turns up before he was at Brighton? United fan, never heard of him, but a brilliant young player. Cairo Matoma, another one. Brian Burma before he went to Brentford. These guys are getting scouted, and then they're arriving as decent players, but ending up brilliant players. It's like they're constantly, Man United, chasing the dream of signing top-end players. Yeah,
I mean, you can have Bastian Schweinsteiger to that one as well. Because the priorities of the club were all wrong. At one point, I was told that I was basically told that United were making a virtue of the fact that when they signed Falcao from Atletico Madrid or Monaco, wherever it was at the time, they were boasting about the actual uptick in Twitter followers and Twitter kind of notices and whatever you call it. That was all they were bothered about. Social media hits, profile, recognition. They weren't bothered about what the guy could do on the pitch. They were interested in how they could sell their commercial partners that if you paid to sponsor Man United, you'd get this many eyeballs on your product because we've signed Radamel Falcao and Angel Di Maria because they are superstar footballers. They weren't thinking about the products on the pitch and signing these players, you know, the Caicedos, the Balebas, that are unheralded, unfamous players. They just wanted the sugar hit of signing a big name player because it would do a lot for their social media following and therefore, in the eyes of the commercial team, make the club more valuable to potential sponsors so they could bring more money in for the Glazers to earn more money out of the club.
Happy with that answer, Don?
Very good.
Very good.
Cameron won't change. Stubborn. See, he had a go at Cameron for being stubborn. Needs to change his game. Don's got to do it now, surely.
Also, there's absolutely no way only one person's come back at you with that when it's Cristiano Ronaldo that you've got against.
No, honestly. Don. Yeah, honestly,
really?
there was one guy. I'd actually forgot that Ronaldo won a Ballon d'Or at Man United. I thought all of his Ballon d'Ors were at Real Madrid, but I think in my mind's eye, I was looking at the teenager. That was it at Man United rather than the sort of, you know, the Hazard that ended up being
he's
that
still
good.
Not changing his mind. He's still trying to convince himself. Still trying to convince himself.
I'm doing an Amorim. I'm doing an Amorim. I'm trying to sell it to myself.
Yeah.
Is he going to get a win anytime soon, Mark? Not Amorim, Don.
He sounds more like Eric Ten Hag, to be honest, than Amorim, but, you know, now's a good place to be. But listen, I think Don really knows that Ronaldo was a better player than Hazard and a bigger name. But, I admire him sticking to his principles.